On the topics faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell Team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
You might remember back a few years ago, there was actually a very prominent person who used a unique phrase, Stratactical phrase. The comment was this: it really depends on what the definition of is. It really depends on what the definition of is. Now that comment led to both an impeachment and a whole bunch of nothing. I mean, a lot of nothing. A whole bunch of nothing that some people thought should have been something, but it led to nothing. Absolutely nothing. I think it was a brilliant stratactical play. And we're going to dig into those words, strategy and tactics, today on Leading Leaders from 3 different sources. That's what I'm going to talk about today on Leading Leaders. I hope you'll stick with me because this might mess with your head just a little bit. But if you'll stick with me, I think you'll find the payoff at the end. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I'm just going to dive right in because I've got some sources here for me. This is my 1959 Webster's Dictionary. You can see it's got a couple miles on it. So the first word we're going to look up is strategy, and I've saved a little bit of time by digging these out beforehand. So strategy, according to the 1959 dictionary, yes, I marked the page, but I still got to find the word on the page. Strategy, the science of military movements, use of artifice, and sometimes of deceit. Did you get that? Write that down. The science of military movements, the use of artifice, and sometimes deceit. That's strategy in 1959. Tactics. Again, I got the page marked. I just got to find the spot on the page. Let's start with the root word of tactics, tact. Interesting relationship here. Tact, fine understanding and nice discernment. With delicate skill in saying or doing the right thing, consideration for others. Tactic, concerning the movement of organisms in response to external stimulus, or part of, to arrange the arrangement of order. A tactician is one who is skilled in the science of military movements, one skilled in adroit maneuvers for the accomplishment of any purpose. Tactics, tact, tactician, all those seem to run together. That's an interesting little aspect here. But let's jump forward from 1959 to 1980. This is my 1980 version here. We're still looking at the Webster's Dictionary, by the way. Still Webster's, just 31 years later, 21 years later. So let's look at strategy. And strategy has a little bit different take on it. Again, I got to find it on the page here. Sorry for the delay. I should have just had all these printed out and put on a slideshow for you to make it easier for you, right? Because that's the way we all think today. Strategically, strategy, a skillful management of getting the better of an adversary. Notice there's no mention of military in that particular one. A strategy is a skillful management in getting the better of an adversary. Tactic, And we'll start again with the root word of tact. Awareness of the right thing to say and do to avoid giving offense. Capable of being felt, tangible, wanting in tact, pertinent to the sense of touch. Tactics, adroit management of situation. Adroit management of situation. That word adroit, that seems to be the only consistency between those two definitions. And of course, the application of some skill set to achieve an end. Okay, let's go on here. This is now 2005. This is maybe the newest dictionary that I have right now because, Google. Let's see. Strategy. Strangle, strangulate, stranglehold. Strange that I turned to the page strategy. Here we go. Strategic. Having to do with strategy. Genius. The word strategy isn't here. Strategic is. Characterized by sound strategy, favorable, advantageous, essential to effective military strategy, operation or designed to operate directly against the military, industrial, or installations of an enemy, i.e. the Strategic Air Command, which is where I served. Regard for the effective conduct of war, strategic materials. A strategist is one skilled in strategies. That's interesting. Let's see if strategy is a little better. Oh, here we go. Strategy or strategeia is generalship. Interesting. The science of planning and directing large-scale military operations, specifically is distinguished from tactics. Also interesting. Of maneuvering forces in the most advantageous position prior to actual engagement of the enemy. A plan or action based on this, the skill of managing or planning by especially using stratagems. Stratagem is an artful means to some end, sometimes especially for sense. Interesting. Okay, tactics. Last one. Last word we're looking up. Tactics. Tactile, tact like you use for a horse. That's not the tact we're talking about. Tact. Here we go. Let's see. Delicate perception of the right thing to say or do without offending. Skill in dealing with people. Delicate sensitivity, especially in aesthetics. That's an interesting one. Tactful, tactic. Of showing or characterized of taxis. Tactic. The detail or branch of tactics, arrangement of systems. Tactical, having to do with tactics, especially in the military and naval maneuvers, characterized by or showing cleverness in skill and tactics. All right, so what does all that have to do with leadership? Yes, it has everything to do with leadership, because one of the things that we're seeing in today's leadership is a failure at tact. And by tact, I mean the ability to have an intelligent conversation, to have some means to an end, to have some idea where you're going, and yet to do so without intentionally offending people. Simultaneously, we have people who jump into a conversation, whether it's political or it's business or it's just a conversation about relationships, and they jump in with no strategy, meaning they have no plan at all. They're just going to wing it through the entire conversation, and the end result is everyone leaves more confused and no one really has any idea what's been said. We've watched them over the last several weeks, months, years, stand in front of television cameras and flap their gums. Political leaders, business leaders, global leaders, they have a lot to say, but what they're saying is nothing. Nothing. There's no strategic plan behind what they're doing. There's no long-term goal. Oh, wait. Maybe there is. Maybe there's a long-term strategic goal behind what they're doing. And the flapping of the gums is the tactful way of saying to you, I'm just going to tell you what makes you happy. I'm going to tell you what makes you feel good. I'm going to tell you what won't offend you right now, because if I told you the truth about our plan, you'd be all upset about it. Why? Because strategic plans, strategy as they're employed, are against your military, against your businesses, against your industry. Are you catching on yet? The ability to tactfully flap your gums, write a policy, throw things out there in the media for the world to make decisions based on, without revealing the strategy behind the whole thing, that's an art form. It says so. Every definition we read of tact and tactical has to do with how to tell you what you don't want to hear in a way that you're not offended by it. It has nothing to do with telling you the truth. In fact, one of those early definitions, the 1959 definition of strategy, includes deceit. A strategy is when the ends justify the means. What does that mean? Well, it means I can do whatever I want to as long as in the end I accomplish the goal that I had in mind. So if my strategy is to throw you off balance, if my strategy is to cause you to question your own identity, if my strategy is to cause you to question whether or not you have the right to make the decisions that you're making, whether it's at the ballot box or in your 401k or in the business that you lead or how you treat your employees or how you refer to your employees, if my strategy is to cause you to question all of those things, to detach you from reality, my strategy, that end game, that plan is more important than anything else. And tactically, I want to do that without you knowing that I'm doing it. I also want to do that without offending you. I'm not trying to make you so upset as to fight back. I don't want to cause you to resist. You know, it seems ironic to use this reference, but if you've ever watched the form of martial arts that Steven Seagal uses, and I do not think it's Hapkido, that particular form of martial arts, unlike Taekwondo, which is a very violent, forward, aggressive, striking type of a martial art, the majority of what Steven Seagal uses is about deflection. It's about using the momentum of the enemy as they're charging you and pushing them off to the side of their own momentum. It allows them to continue their attack at full force, but never really counters that force. It allows them to come, and he will push them aside, throw them away, flip them over with their own weight, and very seldom, but when necessary, will render them inoperable so they can't fight back. But even those attacks, if you will, even that amount of offense is directly driven by the momentum of the other person, the momentum of the attacker. As we move into 2023, we're going to have to reach a point where our leaders of business, leaders of relationships, leaders of household, leaders of communities, leaders of states and national governments, learn to be more stratactical, meaning you're not going to have the ability or the opportunity to plan long term. Why? Because your long-term strategy is already being quashed by someone who has a longer-term strategy. They already have a plan. They have a pretty good idea what your strategy looks like, and they've already come under the attack with it. They're already after it, and they're using whatever means of deceit necessary to bring it down. They're doing so in such a way that you're not taking offense, meaning you're not fighting back. They're using your momentum against you. Well, if you're a leader in 2023, you're going to have to be willing to step up and lead the narrative. And part of leading that narrative is understanding the strategies being used against you to bring down your business, to separate your relationships, to lead the way you think into an entirely different model. And you're going to have to be tactful and tactical at the same time. You're going to have to deploy some of those things that require you to move quickly without time to plan. You're going to have to act now or lose. And sometimes acting now looks like you're not prepared. Well, because some of the things coming at you in the next probably 24 months, you cannot prepare for. You have no idea the kinds of things that have been planned behind the scenes for 50 or 60 years. Long-term strategies. Just go do some research on the KGB's intent to infiltrate the American population with ideas more akin to socialism, communism, and Marxism than capitalism. They had a plan 100 years ago. That strategy was put in place. There was a layered approach to how they would accomplish that, how they would divide families, how they would separate ideologies, how they would turn people against their neighbor and cause infighting and discomfort. Well, that discomfort, that infighting, it's here. That division on racial lines, on educational lines, on just the ability to converse and think. All of those divisions are here, and they're on the rise. They're not disseminating. They're being amped up. It's all part of a long-term strategy. Well, if you didn't start planning your strategy to counter that 100 years ago, you're already too far behind to make a difference. which means you've got to be tactical right now. You've got to do stuff right now in your business, in your relationships, in your thought processes, in your own personal training and development. You've got to do things that you never would have thought of before. But you don't have time now to strategize. So every tactical decision, every action that you take in your business, the way you move your money, the things you invest in, the people that you hire, the way that you train them, every step along the way is going to require you to be very tactical, very tactful, but very tactical, because you don't have time for strategy, which means you better be strategizing with every decision that you make. Every decision that you make. Starting now, in this season as we're coming into the holidays, of the next 2 weeks, we'll move into Thanksgiving. From there, we'll move into the holiday season, which a lot of people kind of take as a downtime. That's fine. If you're in a financial position to take that as a downtime, I challenge you, I encourage you, I implore you to take that not only as a relaxing time, but as a thinking time. Take time to put things into your mind, into your strategies, into your tactics that can be executed very, very quickly, but executed at an elite level. It's not time to dive into new things that you have no idea about. It's time to take those things you've been studying, those things you've been preparing for the last 5 years, and put them in play now, and with full force, and with 100% of your intentionality, and have a plan for what you're going to do if that tactical action fails. Get ready to get at it hard. But no, there's a whole lot of opposition against you. There are a lot of people that don't want capitalism, which means your business, to succeed. Because the strength of your business is the strength of your community. The strength of your community is the strength of your state. The strength of your state is the strength of your nation. And when your nation is strong, because the state is strong, because the community is strong, because your business is strong, you're a threat to global ideologies. Did you follow that? If not, hit rewind and listen to that progression again. Your strength in your local business, your ability to generate revenue and make your own local decisions, is a threat to globalist ideologies. That makes you a threat. That means strategy will come against everything you have to break you down, even if they have to use deceit to do it. And only your tactical ability to bob and weave, to dodge and overcome, will keep you and your business, keep you and your relationships, keep you and your person intact. I know this sounds like a grave warning, trying to think of just the right word, too many dictionaries in front of me, trying to think of the right word, a grave warning, and it is. We are reaching a place in American history and global history where things are moving in a different direction faster than at any other time in history. Not since Taoism and Mao and Stalin and Hitler came to power have we seen global dynamics change at the rate that they're changing now. Have we not, since then, have we seen the alignment with ideologies that are counter to the successful nature of the majority of people on the earth? We've seen in the last year complete nations fall to bankruptcy. Complete nations fall to bankruptcy. A thriving community, Sri Lanka, has completely fallen to a third world country in 1 year. In 1 year, based on political endeavors, big global strategies, and bad policies. Those big global strategies are coming after you because you, as a successful business owner, you're a threat. I'm just telling you now, there's a strategy in place to disempower you. If you're going to be successful in 2023, you're going to have to be Stratactical. You better at least come up with some kind of strategy in your mind, but you don't have time to plan it out for 3, 5, or 10 years. Take action on it now. The minute you have a strategy, execute. Don't wait for somebody else to disseminate your plan for the reason of deceiving it. Figure it out and get busy and do it now. That's my challenge to you in this just before we get into the holiday season morning of 2023. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.